Hey everyone, Young Angel back again. We're going to finish up these new enhancements from Wizard of the Coast. These are class updates. Again, as we mentioned yesterday, not 100% sure what this means for the Players Handbook. Is there going to be a reissue of Players Handbook version 5.1, 5.2, 5.5? Who the heck knows? So yesterday we went through barbarians, bards, clerics, and druids. We are going to finish up the rest today, hopefully. And let's just see what we've got going here. Some of the changes are pretty good. Some are a bit Some are But let's see what we have here. So today, we'll start with fighters. Fighter seems to be the largest redo that there was. So fighting style options. When you gain the fighting style feature, you get access to the variants in the fighting styles. We'll talk about those later when we get to them. The superior technique style is also added to the list of style options you have available. Editors, guys, you need editors. Okay, superior technique. You learn one maneuver of your choice amongst those available to Battle Master Archetype. If a maneuver you use requires your target to make a savings throw to resist, DC is 8 plus proficiency plus strength or dex. You gain one superiority die, which is a d6. The die is used to fuel your maneuvers. Superiority die is expended when you use it. You regain expended superiority dice when you finish a long or short rest. Nothing new there. Enhanced feature. So maneuver versatility, which enhances maneuvers. If you know any maneuvers from the Fighter Battlemaster archetype, you can replace one maneuver you know with a different maneuver when you finish a long rest. This change reflects your physical and mental preparation for the day ahead. This is pretty darn nice, I have to say, because this gives you the ability to really sort of tailor to the fight. Now, there is something to be said about, designing your character around a theme and learning how to use that to your advantage instead of just, switching up, min-maxing your DPS. But hey, it's a nice option to have. All right. So let's see. Ambush. When you make a dexterity, stealth check, or an initiative roll, you expend one superiority die and add that to the roll. This is pretty nice. Yeah, especially fighters often kind of suck when it comes to making stealth checks, especially the more armored you get them. Bait and switch. You're within 5 feet of an ally on your turn. You can expend one superiority die and switch places with that ally, provided you spend at least 5 feet of movement. This movement doesn't provoke opportunity attacks on either of them. I suppose it should specify. Roll the superiority die until the start of your next turn. The ally gains a bonus to AC equal to the number rolled. This is really nice. There are certain things in the fighter class which is sort of designed that it could be, not that it has to be, that it could be a tanking class, but there were a lot of things that were sort of suboptimal. One thing I really like about this is that you are able to switch someone. So if you got a caster who has an enemy right up against it, you can, sort of shove that caster out of the way, give them an AC bonus. That's a really nice feature for people who want to play more protection, more defensive, as opposed to just trying to rack up the DPS. Brace. When you can see a movie, when an enemy you can see moves within 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to expend 1 superiority die and make 1 weapon attack against that creature. If the attack hits, add the superiority die to the attack roll. This is pretty darn nice, I think. Especially, if you've got a lot of moving pieces, it gives you a nice little boost to DPS. Restraining Strike. Immediately after you hit a creature with a melee weapon on your turn, you can expend 1 superiority die and use bonus action to grapple the target. Check it on grappling. Add the superiority die to your strength check. The target is also restrained while grappled in this way. This is great. I really think that the whole grappling, wrestling, it's got some issues. It's not that bad, but grapple restrained, I think, it gets confusing for a lot of people. This is better. You're restrained as well as grappled. Alright, Silver Tongue. When you make a charisma deception check or a persuasion check, you can expend 1 superiority die and add the die to the ability check. Okay. That's there. Snipe. As a bonus action, you can expend 1 superiority die and make a ranged weapon attack. You can draw a thrown weapon as part of making this attack. If you hit, add the superiority die to the damage roll. This is pretty darn cool, especially if you've got someone outfitted with a nice long-range weapon, maybe a nice heavy crossbow. I'd definitely keep that one around. Studious Eye. When you make a Wisdom Insight check or an Intelligence Investigation check, expend 1 superiority die, add the superiority die to your ability check. Okay. That sort of goes with Silver Tongue. Situational, I could see where it would sometimes be used, but to be honest, as a fighter, I would probably just have, one of the other more useful combat ones selected. Monks. I love monks. They're so fun to play. A monk has access to the following features. First level monk feature. You can use this feature to define your monk weapons rather than using the definition in martial arts. This is one thing I've really hated about the Player's Handbook. In monks, excuse me, the definition of a monk weapon is so confusing. Also, if you think about it, think about the Shaolin monks. I believe they had 18 different weapons that they were using. So it really, theoretically anything could be a monk weapon. And it makes it a little bit confusing because they're kind of limited to simple weapons except for the short sword. Why a short sword? I'm guessing they wanted to keep it to a 1d6 amount of damage as opposed to allowing them something heavier. But they had, meteor maces, which were giant maces. That would be sort of like the equivalent of a great axe, so you would think a 1d12. Well, you wouldn't necessarily want a guy who gets 4 attacks a turns to be hitting with d12s every time. But at any rate, you practice your martial arts with your specially chosen weapons, which become monk weapons for you. You can choose a number of weapons to be your monk weapons equal to 5 plus your wisdom modifier, minimum of 5 weapons. So assuming 20 is your cap, you could theoretically have 10 weapons. The chosen weapons must each meet the following criteria. So this is kind of important because some of these strikes, especially if you're doing Way of the Open Fist, it depends on you having a quote-unquote monk weapon. And if you don't, you can't use key points for different things. Now, here's what I have a problem with. Number 1, the weapon must be a simple or martial weapon. There are only simple and martial weapons. There are 2 categories. It's got to be one of the 2 categories, but either is cool. That doesn't make any sense. Also, I think, as much as I hate to say it, I think to an extent the original Player's Handbook was better on this. You want to keep a monk to a simple weapon in general. Now, I could see later on, so for example, if we want to talk about Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Li Mumbai had the Green Destiny, right? Now, the Green Destiny should be a longsword. Li Mumbai was very clearly a monk studying at Wudan. So if you wanted to recreate that, you could, but the longsword has a stat that's greater than a 1d6. Now, it seems to me that later on, if you're the DM, you could allow monks to use weapons with greater stats. And the reason I said that is because the open-handed strikes scale up. So eventually, I believe D12. For sure, your strikes will end up doing a D10 each, but I think it could go up to a D12. I'm not 100% sure. So it does make sense that if someone's like, well, I don't really want to fight open-handed, I don't necessarily want a karate monk, kung fu monk, I want my monk to have weapons, it would make sense that the weapons you hold would scale up. Okay, number 2, you must be proficient with the weapon. So this would be a case like if you take, let's say a wood elf is pretty good race for the monk class because you get dex and whiz bonus. They are proficient in longswords, but technically under the PHB, the monk would not be able to use the longsword as a monk weapon. But now, theoretically, it could be. Alright. The weapon must lack these properties: heavy, special, or two-handed. I kind of disagree with special. There are certain special weapons which seems like it'd be appropriate. If you are not a jerky DM, you will allow your players to do it. Okay, key-fueled strikes. If you spend 1 key or more as part of your action on your turn, you can immediately make 1 unarmed strike as a bonus action. Well, why do you need this? Because that's all about taking Way of the Open Fist. So now you're sort of taking out of that one path and adding it to the other ones, making it more generic. Key features, level 2. When you gain the key feature at 2nd level, you get access to the following features. When you make a ranged weapon attack, you could spend 1 key point to prevent attacking at long range from imposing disadvantage on your attack rolls. That's pretty darn cool. Now, monks can use bow and arrows, short bows anyways. So this is a very, very nice feature, which could really add to your monk. This one, quickened healing. As an action, you can spend 2 key points and roll a martial art die. You regain a number of hit points equal to the number rolled. Again, you already have a healing feature, Way of the Open Hand. I believe it's level 6. You get to regain some hit points. The other marked classes are not supposed to have ways innately. This is the point of a party, is that you're going to be relying on somebody who's got some healing spells. And yes, I understand it does take a bit of the pressure off of a cleric, but what makes healers special if everybody can heal? I don't know. I can see why, but it doesn't make sense. Paladin. Paladin has access to the following features. When you gain the fighting style feature, you get access to the variants in fighting styles, which we'll get to. The Blessed Warrior style is also added to the list of options available. Blessed Warrior, you learn 2 cantrips of your choice from the cleric list. They count as paladin spells for you, and charisma is your spellcasting ability for them. Whenever you gain a level in this class, you can replace one of these cantrips with another cantrip from the cleric spell list. Alright, so here are more paladin spells added to it. Second level, Gentle Repose, Prayer of Healing, Ward of Bonding. Third level, Life Transference. Well, that's pretty gruesome unless you're some kind of evil, like a Oathbreaker Paladin. Spirit Guardians. Does everybody have to have Spirit Guardians? I mean, come on, man. Alright, 5th level, Dawn, and Flame Strike. I don't know about that Spirit Guardians. Spirit Guardians are too OP as it is. I think too many classes have them and they do too much. But, I don't know. Tell me what you think. Spirit Guardians. Awesome or OP? Alright, Channel Divinity. Harness Divine Power. You can expand a use of your Channel Divinity to fuel your holy spells. As a bonus action, you touch your holy symbol, utter a prayer, regain 1 expended first level slot. That's pretty handy, especially since paladins don't get as many slots as other classes. First level, okay. It's nice. Some healing words, some stuff like that. No, it's a nice feature. Yeah, okay, sorry. That is it for Paladin. Now for the Ranger. Oh, the poor, often suffering Rangers. Let's take a look. Deft Explorer. So this replaces Natural Explorer. You are Unsurpassed Explorer and Survivor. So choose one of the benefits, then choose another at 6th and 10th. Canny. You choose one skill: animal handling, athletics, history, insight, investigation, medicine, nature. I don't know, all this stuff. You gain proficiency in the chosen skill if you don't already have it. And you can add double your proficiency bonus to ability checks using that skill. In addition, thanks to your extensive wandering, you're able to speak, read, and write 2 languages of your choice. That's nice. I think this really helps a lot, especially the double proficiency bonus thing, depending on how you want to play your ranger. Especially with animal handling, if you want to get a lot of buddies. Athletics are pretty good for melee. Stealth, if you want to be a sneaky dude, pick people off from a distance. I'm definitely a fan of this one. Roving. Your walking speed increases by 5, and you gain a climb speed, swimming speed equal to your walking speed. Those are darn nice features. Especially early on in the game. I don't know which one I'd recommend more. I kind of like Canny. It really gives you a head start, but that one's pretty good too. Alright, so Tireless. As an action, you can give yourself a number of temporary hit points equal to 1d10 plus your wisdom modifier. You can use this special action a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, minimum of once, and regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So, wisdom is a secondary stat. I gotta say, Tireless seems a bit OP for level 1. So if you rolled fairly well, or you're in a point buy-in situation, it wouldn't be too strange where with the buy-in plus racial modifiers, you could already be at 20 for wisdom, which means 5. So that would be 1d10 plus 5. That could be 15 hit points. You could basically double your hit points with this temporary hit point stuff. Seems too much. In addition, whenever you finish a short rest, your exhaustion level, if any, has decreased by 1. That's pretty cool. See, something like that makes a lot of sense for the ranger, and it really adds to it. Now, this is a nice one too. Favorite foe. You can call on your bond with nature to mark a creature as your favorite enemy for a time. You know the Hunter's Mark spell, and Wisdom is your spell casting ability for it. Use it a certain number of times without expending a spell slot without requiring concentration. Number of time equal to your Wisdom modifier. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. When you gain the spellcasting feature at 2nd level, Hunter's Mark doesn't count against the number of ranger spells that you know. So there are fighting styles available to you, which we'll get on. But you can also choose from Druidic Warrior. 2 cantrips are your choice from the Druid spell list. Again, for me, there's like barely any separation between Ranger and Druid to begin with. Why would you want to make it worse? Just blend them all together. So there are a number of spells.